So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back with another edition of 1911 Syndicate. As you can tell, my cohort Jake is not here today. So we're mixing things up just for you guys because of all the requests from the men and women that watch this, that Chris just does his own videos. So that's what we're doing. In reality, that's actually not the case. We lost some footage and had to reshoot some stuff, and Jake's like, I'm too lazy, I don't want to be there, so he's not here today. So it's just me and Crispy today. And what we're talking about today is a whole series on belts, war belts, fighting belts, whatever you guys like to call them. I call it a war belt. A couple different names out there, and we got a couple name brands out there, some new stuff that's hot to the market. But before we get into that, especially since Jake isn't here, I'm not Jake, and I'm not gonna tell you to go like, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. I'm not gonna tell you that we have a Patreon that you can donate money to keep this operation going. I'm not gonna tell you to give us a thumbs up on the YouTube videos or comment in the comment section, because I'm not Jake. I'm also not gonna tell you, don't sign up for the newsletter, because that's where we do product releases. Companies we're affiliated with, we'll drop some of their products, you know, and information on them through the newsletter. But I'm not gonna tell you to do any of those things, because I'm not Jake. So, now that that's out of the way, some of you guys are real fucking mad right now because you understand what I did and they probably sat through the whole thing. But just humor us, guys. This first one we're getting into is the newest, hottest belt on the market made by GBRS. If you don't know who GBRS is, it's a bunch of former Tier 1 Navy SEAL guys that recently got out within the last 3 to 4 years. They started a training company and they developed this belt. Their belt is going to be pretty different from anything else on the market. I'm an absolute fan. The more that I run it, the more I'm enjoying it. And the reasons behind that are quite a few, actually. So they have a 3-belt system. What that entails is obviously your outer belt, that all your mag pouches, your, I had these undone just to show you guys. I use the QLS system on here so we can in and out real easy with holsters and all that good stuff. They'll run it on all my belts. It's super modular. But their outer belt system is 1 belt. And then they have a double layered inner belt system. So typically with war belts, your inner belt has the loop, which is the soft side. And then your outer belt has the hook, which then goes onto that inner belt. This is a little different. They reversed it with GBRS, which some people at first were like, well, why'd they flip it? And they have a very good point on one of their videos. SEALs for a long time and still now, if they're gonna hit an objective, will like infill like 10 kilometers out. And Slade over at GBRS said, if you have that scratchy stuff or the hook facing you, and you gotta hike in that far and it's not sitting right on you and it's just scratching the shit out of your body that whole time, super uncomfortable. So they flipped it. So your hook or the scratchy material is facing out, and then your inner belt has the soft loop. So that way the only thing going towards your body is soft material, which to me, I mean, I play dress up out here on the range. So for a couple hours, I can stand the scratchiness. However, it is very nice that they set it up that way because you just don't got to worry about it. What this 2-belt, well, 3-belt, the inner belt is a two-part system. And the reason why they do that too is you would run the hook side as your belt with it facing out, right? And then say you're not going to the range for a couple hours. Once this is on, you then take a sleeve that they have and loop it on top of the belt. So this would be on your pants. You would then run this over top of your belt loops and onto the belt. Go run your errands, or maybe you guys go to Starbucks before you go to the range, whatever the case may be. And then once you get to the range, you would just tear off that sleeve. Obviously, this is still gonna be on your body because it's through your belt loops. And then you just slap on the outer belt onto that. Another reason why I really like this belt is Jake does the same thing. When we come out here and shoot, we bring like 3 belts. We wear 1 belt as we're driving out, another belt as we're shooting, and if that belt has a 2-layer system, that's 3 belts total. This is still 3 belts, but it's all one system that all works together. So for me, I mean, I think this is a genius way to set up a belt. I don't know why it hasn't been done that way up until this point, but hey, it takes guys like GBRS to figure out, you know, kind of new ways to skin the cat, I guess. And I'm a fan. I actually use this, and Slade in one of the videos mentions how you can use this underbelt system with the sleeve as like a non-metallic EDC belt, which is what I do. I fly up here so often that it seems silly to be annoyed by taking your belt on and off at the airport. I mean, I'm flying up here 2, 3, 4 times a month. I've gone through security, not in a bad way, and I don't think that this is even against the law, because this isn't, I mean, it's a sleeve, it's a Velcro sleeve, it's not even really a belt. But I'll just leave this on through the metal detectors. I've never had any issues with it or anything like that. So, acts as a non-metallic EDC belt. This is what I carry my Glock 19 in every day. And the great thing with it being Velcro is you can adjust it, or, you know, if you need to loosen it because you ate too much, happens to me often, or tighten it down because you're losing weight. That does not happen to me. Mine always seems to go bigger. But it's just a nice, easy kind of all-in-one system that you can use every day and when you go to the range. So with these belts, the way that I set this one up, and then we'll get into the materials here in a minute. For me, belts, an essential piece on a belt, at least for me, is gloves. I gotta have gloves, and I just use this little, we're gonna do a little sidebar here. And if Jake was here, he'd make fun of me, but shit, it's my show today. So this is like a little leather lanyard that my wife got me. We had a date night a little while ago, and it's made for keys, but I looped it through the belt to hold my gloves. So that way, because my wife doesn't watch this content at all, but if she did, she'd know I carry a piece of her everywhere I go. Aw, isn't that nice, Crispy? This is the point where Jake would say, are you done sucking your wife off on camera? Can we get back to the belt review? So we're gonna get back to the review. Pouches that I threw on this are the new Haley Strategic pouches that are universal with, I mean, everything on the market currently. Travis Haley really knocked it out of the park, much like he does with all his products on this. But these pistol mag pouches will fit single stack, double stack, 9mm, 40, 45. We put a HK Mark 23 mag in here, B&T mags, MP5 mags. I mean, these will run any pistol caliber magazine, which is awesome. One pouch for everything. Along with the rifle mag pouch, this will run, obviously, your standard AR mags. And then Jake and I also tested, much like in Travis's video, AK mags, metal AR mags, metal AK mags, 308 mags, an AUG, Steyr AUG mag, which is a little bit different than your standard AR mag. But the idea behind these mag pouches, and the reason why I threw them on this belt, is this is going to be my primary belt for whenever we're filming or training from here on out. I wanted something that is going to be universal with any rifles that we use and any pistols that we use. And currently there's not really anything like it on the market until now. So Travis really knocked it out of the park with those. Coming to the back part of the belt, I have just a general purpose pouch that actually a good buddy of mine who was a Ranger deployed with. So this has actually been overseas, and kind of a cool little piece of kit that he gave me just because he's got like bins of random shit from when he was in the military. And he threw this towards me just for this review, and he said I could keep it, which is kind of cool. But I'm going to use it for med. Currently all my medical stuff is on another belt, but all of it fits in a nice little compact case all inside this general purpose belt. And really it's big enough I could use med in there, spare batteries, kind of whatever you need will fit in that. So as we move towards kind of the end of the belt or the front, I am right-handed, so this holster sitting on my right-hand side. I have this Safariland QLS system attached to the True North Concepts modular holster adapter plate. If you don't know what that is, jump on their website, but it's basically a plate that has a bunch of different variations that you can mount any of your accessories to for your holster. So with this QLS system, I can lower it, raise it, cant it forward, cant it backwards, have it straight up. There's like 30 different ways you can mount your holster to it. I think, especially because usually people run the ALS, the Safariland, ALS drop plate, which is their mid-ride plate or their mid-ride plate. I ran that for a long time on a belt. I always worried, especially with how much we shoot and train, that plastic eventually would give out. So this, obviously being metal and screws, I Loctited everything. I just got less chance of this break-in or anything like that. Now, the greatest thing with this system too, again, and I kind of mentioned at the beginning, is any of my holsters for any of the guns are just going to clip right onto that. So whether I get a 2011, which I'm looking at right now, SIG, whatever the case may be, this little system attaches and accepts anything that can mount to that QLS system. So for me, it's a great option. Again, it's super modular, and it just gives you all the kind of modularity you're looking for in a belt. That way you don't have to have one belt for one thing that you do, another belt for another thing. This can kind of check all the boxes, I guess. Price on this belt here, these run for $255, which is going to be either the most expensive or near the most expensive belt on the market currently. And some people might say that's a little much. You know, they could cut corners here and there. I know that they work heavily with LBT on producing some of their other products. I'm pretty sure they worked with them on this. I'm not 100% sure. But when you go into the research, the development, the materials, I mean, you do pay for what you get. It's a quality product made by guys who've been there and done that essentially. So I don't really see a problem with the price, especially with this being so modular. Again, it's one belt that's going to do everything I need it to do. A couple cool things about this belt is you guys will notice there's kind of a black or carbon fiber material here called Tigris, which is laser cut. It's a carbon fiber woven plastic type material that they use to keep the belt stiff. So this is something that is also very different with their belt. Other belts are going to be your scuba webbing that is sometimes even doubled up, so the stiffness and rigidity of the belt, I mean, it's not going anywhere. This belt is stiff and rigid, but not to the point where it doesn't move with you. Some of the other belts that we review in this series are so stiff, it almost feels like it's hindering the way that you move, or just not necessarily uncomfortable, but just not as comfortable as something that moves with your body like this belt does. So it's rigid enough to support all your gear, but still, I guess, not as rigid to move with you if you're kneeling, running, prone, whatever the case may be. So I really like that feature of this belt. Final thoughts with this belt. So this is probably the 5th or 6th range day that I've ran this belt on. Previous to this belt, I was using the Ronin belt, which we're also going to review in this series. And that was kind of my go-to belt for quite a long time. This is quickly taking, I guess, the lead in the competition for me. With all the modularity, the way that it moves, but it's still rigid, the triple belt system, using one belt for an EDC type belt that I can then take that sleeve off and throw on the war belt. This just checks a lot of boxes for me. Super happy with it. Thank you to the guys at GBRS for like the content that you guys put out. I watched a lot of their videos and got all the information off their videos. We try to reach out and do phone calls with companies or individuals when we can. They had a lot of information out on this belt on their website, on their Instagram, and on YouTube. So I pulled all that information. And yeah, it's a good belt. I highly recommend it. Having said that, I play dress up on the range, so take that for what it's worth. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I said, don't do in the beginning. And have a good rest of your day.